Welcome to Wonderwave, where history and culture come alive. Today we're exploring one of the most transformative periods in human history, the Renaissance, and its lasting impact on modern art and culture. Let's begin by traveling back in time to 14th century Europe, where the Renaissance was born. Emerging from the shadows of the Middle Ages, the Renaissance was a cultural rebirth that spread across Europe, revolutionizing art, science, literature, and society. But its influence didn't stop there. It still shapes the world we live in today. The Renaissance wasn't just a movement, it was a revolution of ideas. But one of the most significant changes during this time was a shift in worldview. The Middle Ages had been dominated by religious doctrine, with the Catholic Church playing a central role in art, politics, and daily life. The Renaissance, however, brought humanism to the forefront, a philosophy that emphasized the value of the individual human potential and the study of classical antiquity. This new focus on the human experience laid the foundation for many of the advancements in art and culture that would follow. Artists began to depict the human form with a level of realism and detail that hadn't been seen since ancient times. Think of the works of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Each of these masters not only created breathtaking art, but also redefined how humanity was portrayed. One of the key techniques that Renaissance artists developed was the use of perspective. Prior to this period, much of medieval art was flat and two-dimensional, with little sense of depth. But Renaissance artists, inspired by classical Greek and Roman techniques, introduced linear perspective, creating the illusion of space and volume on a flat surface. This innovation allowed artists to produce more lifelike and dynamic works, drawing viewers into their scenes as if they were standing in the space themselves. Take, for example, Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper. The use of perspective in this painting creates an almost three-dimensional effect, with the vanishing point centered right behind Christ's head, drawing attention to the central figure, while also adding depth and realism to the composition. This technique had a profound impact not just on Renaissance art, but on all future artistic movements. The influence of the Renaissance on modern art is undeniable. Today, artists still use techniques that were perfected during this time, from the principles of perspective to the study of anatomy. The Renaissance also laid the groundwork for artistic movements like realism, impressionism, and even modernism. Each of these movements, though distinct in their styles and goals, can trace their roots back to the innovations of Renaissance artists. But the Renaissance wasn't just about art. It was a time of great intellectual exploration, which led to advancements in science, philosophy, and literature. Figures like Galileo, Copernicus, and Descartes challenged traditional ways of thinking, laying the groundwork for the scientific revolution. The emphasis on reason and observation during the Renaissance fostered a spirit of inquiry that still drives scientific discovery today. Similarly, the literature of the Renaissance has had a lasting impact. Writers like Dante, Petrarch, and Shakespeare explored themes of individualism, love, and power in ways that resonate with modern readers. Shakespeare, in particular, has had an immeasurable influence on the English language, with many of his phrases still in use today. Now let's consider how the Renaissance shaped modern culture beyond the arts. The Renaissance gave rise to the idea of the Renaissance man, an individual who is skilled in multiple disciplines. This concept has endured, and today we celebrate polymaths, figures like Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, who excel in diverse fields. The Renaissance also promoted the concept of secularism, the separation of church and state. This shift allowed for the development of modern democratic institutions and the rise of political philosophies that focus on human rights, governance, and individual liberty. In many ways, the Renaissance was the birthplace of modern Western political thought. When we look at today's world, we can see the Renaissance's fingerprints everywhere. From architecture and visual art to literature, science, and political philosophy, the ideas and innovations that emerged during this period continue to shape our lives. The Renaissance transformed not only Europe, but the entire world, influencing countless generations of thinkers, creators, and leaders. Even modern technology can be traced back to Renaissance ingenuity. Leonardo da Vinci's sketches of machines, like flying devices, tanks and bridges, demonstrate a visionary mind thinking centuries ahead of his time. Today's engineers and inventors draw on this same creative spirit, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The impact of the Renaissance on education is another key aspect of its enduring legacy. The Renaissance was a period when learning and scholarship were valued like never before. Universities flourished and the study of classical texts was revived, leading to a flourishing of intellectual activity. The Renaissance emphasis on education as a means to personal and societal improvement is a value that remains deeply embedded in modern culture. Finally, let's not forget the role of the printing press, invented by Johannes Gutenberg in the mid-15th century. This revolutionary technology made books more accessible and allowed for the widespread dissemination of ideas. The printing press was instrumental in spreading Renaissance ideals across Europe, and it laid the groundwork for the information age we live in today. The ability to share knowledge on a massive scale is something we now take for granted, but it all began with this transformative invention. In conclusion, the Renaissance was not just a historical period, it was the spark that ignited the modern age. Its impact on art, culture, science, and society continues to shape the world we live in today. From the works of Renaissance masters like Michelangelo and Da Vinci to the enduring philosophies of humanism and individualism, the Renaissance has left an indelible mark on modern civilization. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this exploration of the Renaissance, make sure to subscribe to Wonderwave for more deep dives into history's most fascinating moments. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.